Hello, good morning, everybody. I know, obviously, you were on the sessions yesterday. It's been a little bit of confusion about a thing I'm getting feedback on is there's a little bit of confusion about how to record the key levels and mark the key levels on the instruments that you're interested in trading. So I think the easiest thing for me to do this morning is just to put together a really quick video on how to do that. So without ado, this is the Awanda account of Metatrader 4. And I know some of you are having issues trying to find an Awanda account that ran on Macs. I know I sent out in the WhatsApp group yesterday a link for Admiral Markets. Admiral Markets have a Mac version, so I'm hoping that the Mac users will have downloaded that and that eventually you'll wind up here, which is on our desktop with the windows tiled, the instrument windows tiled. If you haven't got any windows, don't worry. To tile them, all you do is you come back to Metatrader, Windows, tile windows, and it will tile every window you have open in this manner. So I'm literally going to start from scratch. I'm going to start from scratch with a new chart. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say File, New Chart, and I'm going to do the levels. I'm going to do the levels for, I'm going to start with the pound versus the dollar. So I'm just going to click on that. It brings up a new chart. I've saved my chart formations and colors and various things, backgrounds in a template file. So the way you load a template on a file is you go to Tools, Charts I should say. You go to Charts, Template, Load Template, and we're going to wait for it to bring up the templates. And I'm going to ask for it to load the template for Ollie's trading call. So I'm going to tell it to open that. And there you can see it changes the background to plain without the grid. And all it does as well is it changes the candles to red and blue. And so that's my background. Now, the way we put together these key levels on this chart, this is an hour chart. So these are the period separators. So this is today. That was 12 o'clock. That particular candle there was, I think that's 10 o'clock when the markets formally close. Although there isn't a close with Forex, but that was the 10 o'clock candle. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, coming up to 8 o'clock in the morning, which is where we stand now. So during the course of today, there will be another 16 candles to take it up to 24 hours. So that's where we stand at the moment. But what I want you to do in terms of drawing these levels, what we need to do is just zoom out as far as we can. So this is the hourly timescale. You pick up your time frames at the top there, and you can also pick them up from one of the menu options. So we're going to zoom out as far as we can. We want to be able to look at this this chart action, this price action, what's going on the chart, as if we're looking down on it from outer space. And so I've zoomed out and I've got as much data, and if you look as I can, if you look there, the amount of data Awanda gives me, it goes back to June 2002. So this is literally what has been happening with the pound since 2002. Each one of these candles now represents a month's worth of data. So in terms of drawing key levels, all we're looking to do is just to put on the chart areas where prices come up or come down into an area and bounced. And it may, and what we're looking for these areas where prices probably bounced multiple times or there's multiple touches on that particular line. Now, I think, there's a lot of confusion about, what's the right line? Is there software that can do this for me? Well, ultimately, I think the best way of doing it, yes, there is software that will do it for you, but ultimately, the best way of doing it is to just trust your eyes. Your eyes see more than your brain tends to recognize sometimes, and sometimes the best approach is just to um, plot what you see. And the reality is, there's no right or wrong answers. You can move these lines if you feel they're not quite right. So the first one that I'm gonna highlight is this particular level here. You can see price has come up, it's been rejected strongly, and you've got a strong reaction. And as I said yesterday, what we're trying to do when we trade these markets is we're trying to find areas where we'll get a strong reaction. We can only make money if a market moves upwards or downwards. So this is a key reason for plotting these key levels. So I use a different color for each time frame. So I'm on the monthly time frame now. I'm going to click on my horizontal drawing tool, and I'm literally just going to go to that peak there, and I'm just going to click on it, and as you can see, it puts up a line. The line is default to the color and the settings of the last time you used it. So if I double click on that line and then I right click, it gives me an option to set properties for that line. Now on the monthly time frame, what I do is I put these lines, I put the color I choose that works for me is saddle brown, but literally you can use any color that works for you. I'm not going to be the one looking at these charts. You are over the course of a period of time, and what you need to do is just pick colors that work for you. I choose these colors because there are other indicators that I use on the charts, and so I don't want to get them confused with other stuff that I'm doing. But if it doesn't quite work for you, then you can always come back and change these lines. The other thing I do as well, so let me just open that again. So right click there, horizontal line properties, is I don't like the lines solid, so I use a very small dot dash so that they're visible. You can pick up the fact that they're there, but they don't dominate the screen as you drill down through the time frames. So okay, so I've picked that area. I think that is a bounce area as well, so I'm going to put a line there as well. So there's one there, and you can see price has come up, it's come down again, it's come up, and it's stalled, and it's stalling in that area as well. So that is a really good pick, and it's literally just going through. We don't want too many of these lines. We're just looking to get them quite evenly spaced. Again, that's a good one. As you can see, price has come down, it's stalled, it's bounced, and it's taken off. It's come down in there, it's broken, and it's resisting that area there and there. So that's a really good pick, and this is literally just picking these areas out with my eye. And so there's one there. You don't have to get, you don't have to be at the bottom of the wicks. You can just best fit them so that they cover as many of these bounces as you can. And I see one definitely around there as well. So you can see on the monthly, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. I'm not looking to, over egg this. I'm not looking to have lots of lines. In fact, the Japanese expression "less is more" really is a good option with these. Yeah. And as we are coming down the time frames, we will be adding in more lines that fit in between. So I could go for one there, but I think I'm more likely to pick that up on the weekly time frame. So I'm not going to go for one there. And then once I've done the monthly, I drop down to the weekly time frame. And again, I can use the minus button to zoom out as far as I can. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did, but on this occasion, what I am going to do is I'm going to use a different color. So on the weekly time frame, I use the color pink. So literally the line defaults to saddle brown, which is the last time I used it. I put in a line. I'm just going to right click on that line, double click on the line, right click on that once it's highlighted, and I'm going to change the color to pink. And you can use any of these colors from the menu option to configure the color. So that is our first weekly resistance. Now we've got a lot of activity in here, and the lines don't have to be at the end of a run up. They can. You get a lot of bounces. You can see you're getting a lot of bounces in this area, even though price broke through there. So I would most definitely be marking that as a monthly area as well. And I think there's definitely one there. So I'm going to go and mark these. And as I say, there's no right or wrong answer here. You know, plot what you see. You know, if you see it, there's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever your eyes are seeing. But as I say, less is more. We don't want too many. And if we can try and get them an equal distance apart, it makes it even more powerful. I think there's one down there as well. So I'm just going to put that one in, and you can see you've got a bounce there, and you've got a rejection from that level there. And this is all we're trying to do. We're just trying to drill down and find out where these key levels are. So the last area, I'm going to go down to the daily time frame as well. If I click on end, that will scroll the chart to the end. And I'm doing exactly the same thing with the daily chart. So I'm going to put in, there is definitely one there. So I'm going to put in an area there. Remember, these areas are zones. So that's the other thing. They're not exact. So don't treat them as if they are exact, and they need to be exact. We just need to capture the essence of where they are. And the horizontal line properties on the daily chart, I use the color green to represent daily resistances. So there we go. There's one there. Trying to get them evenly apart, I would definitely say again, there's probably one there as well in that particular area. And again, there's a lot of hitting and rejecting in there. So sometimes these zones are in the slap bang in the middle of areas where there's a lot of price action. So they don't have to be at the top or the bottom. Sometimes they are slap bang right through the middle of the price action. So if I do that, if I put one there, that captures these hits there, it captures these hits there, it captures these hits there. And if I don't feel that's quite right, I can move it up. I can double click on it to move it up or to move it down. So we've got three there. These ones are a little close together, but they still work, and I'm happy with that, and so I'm going to leave those. And I would say there is also one next to that monthly zone there, so I'm going to put that one in there. And as you see, it delineates that monthly area and the daily area as our zones. So you might not necessarily take a trade in that zone, but you would take a buy there to the next zone. So it's just for illustration purposes, just to show you where these levels are. So I'm going to put in one more. I think there's one more on this area. There's probably one there, right at the bottom of that rundown. And lastly, I would say there is one there. You can see you've got those touches there. And that's it. That completes the drawing of our zones. I mentioned yesterday what we will do is with the trading strategy we're using, we're trading these zones on the 4-hour chart. So if I click on the 4-hour chart and we take our entries, we can see, and if I zoom out a little bit, we can see how price moves into these zones and is rejected by these zones. The other thing that you can do is you can also insert 4-hour zones as well if these don't quite match up. And what I do is I might put one there because you've got a zone that bounces there. So you can add into this. To delineate it as a 4-hour zone, yesterday I was using the colour dark orange. So I can just change the colour and put a dark orange line in there. And I think that's as much as I might look to do there. There's probably a dark orange one in there as well. But it's not exact. But what we are trying to do is just get a feel for where these zones are, where these resistances are, so that we're only buying when price goes through one of these zones, or we're only selling when price bounces off one of these zones or travels through one of these zones. So I hope that makes it a little clearer for you, and I'm hoping that that makes it a little easier for you to draw your zones. But those are my zones. It doesn't matter what I think. The important zones are your zones, because it's your eyes that you're going to have to make these trades with. So I'm not going to be there sitting over your shoulder, in your trading careers, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. So learn to trust your eyes. Trust your eyes. There's no wrong or right answer. You've got demo accounts, so please make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes with your demo accounts. There's no real loss. So just play around with it, move the zones around, and I'm hoping that gives you an insight into drawing these zones.